This is a Smitty Middy Show, web exclusive.
All right, welcome back inside the Smitty and Middy Show studios. I'm Tyler Middleton. Noah Smith not joining me this week because he wasn't part of it. So I told him to go over there and wait and not join me. But I am joined by three former players and the athletic therapist for the Owen Sound Attack. We're going to reminisce about the 2010 OHL Championship. I would say the best championship to ever be won. Off the top there, you saw a video made by our very own Noah Smith. Thank you to him. And we got another surprise at the very end. Our own guest will be his calls. It's his calls from the OHL Championship, but stick around to that. But to go to the players that I am joined. First of all, 214 games in the OHL, 110 regular season goals, 145 regular season assists, 17th overall pick to the Avalanche in 2010, Mr. Joey Hishon. Joey, appreciate it. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys. Great to be here.
I did quick math on all these stats, so if I get anything wrong, I apologize. I'm not the math guru over here. All right, starting in the Sault Ste. Marie, going to Owen Sound, then going to Brampton, 271 OHL games. Brendan Childerley. Chili, thank you, sir.
Thanks for not touching base on my stats, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I got 54 career points. I was going to do your plus minus, but I'll tell you, if you did your career plus minus on the golf course, that's one hell of a round. That's going to win a lot of major championships. So I stayed away from that one.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
With the biggest goal in Owen Sound Attack history, I would say 97 career games, 28 career goals, 82nd overall to the Ottawa Senators in 2012, Mr. Jarrod Maidens. Jarrod, thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me, buddy. Good to see you, boys.
Yeah, you too. And also the athletic therapist for the Owen Sound Attack. I believe, again, a lot of rough stats here. I think going on, 16 years with the team? 17 years? More than that? I don't know. Representing Canada at the Avon Hill more than once. And he's also the best skate sharpener in the OHL. That I can attest to, Mr. Andy Brown.
Thanks for having me, Mids. Good to be here.
Well, thank you guys. I see the Mercury jersey in the back. That was from that year, I believe. I mean, I think you guys went undefeated in that jersey. So congratulations on that. I don't know what to say. But I'm going to start with Joey. So the year before the Owen Sound Championship was the first year the Owen Sound Attack as a franchise didn't make the OHL playoffs and then come back to win the championship the next year. What was it in that season that really made that team extra special and push it over the top?
Yeah, you know what? I think it was a lot of things, but I think the most important thing was just how close our group was. Everyone was such good friends. Away from the rink, we were always together doing different movie nights, bowling nights, whatever it was. So I think anytime you see a team win a championship, guys always talk about the relationships built throughout those years. And I think for us, that was very evident. We were all a tight-knit group. And I mean, we still have group chats and still talk to this day. So a lot of really good friends, a lot of really good friendships made throughout that season. And it was definitely a special year.
Well, I mean, the fact that we had to start a new Zoom call here because you guys just talked for like 20 minutes, just shooting the you know what about the just meeting each other again. It's amazing that you guys keep in such close contact, even 10 years out. Yeah,
absolutely. Even Chili was even in my wedding party. So it's crazy. He was my roommate in Owen Sound. So obviously one of my best friends. And I would say there was probably 6 or 7 other guys from the team at the wedding as well. So it just goes to show how close our relationships were.
Chili, that's a rough call. What color could you possibly wear that goes with that hair? Like there's nothing you can wear that doesn't clash with that hair.
Ish had to accommodate for me. So I went with a nice navy blue, match the eyes, really make a pop there. So he really helped me out on that one.
All right, Brownie, I'll go up to you here. You had a different view of the team, obviously. When did you know that team was, something special? Because you were around for what, 5-6 years from then. I mean, I was also around for that long, and it was there was something just different that year.
Yeah, I mean, my first 2 years up here, we had some pretty good teams that just didn't meet their potential. And like Joey said, a lot of that is, the the relationships built in the team and how tight guys are. And you could just sense, halfway through that season, really just how close the guys were getting and just how tight knit they were. it was evident right away. I mean, we got off to a great start. I think I look back and we were 9-1 after 10 games, but I think once you get past Christmas and you get past that trade deadline and you really get to see who you are and what you're going to be going to the playoffs, and then the guys kind of exhale and really get tight and know that this is our group. And from there on, it was pretty evident that we had something special.
Yeah, and I don't want to spend too much time on the actual year, the season that led up to it, because obviously I don't know about you guys, but the only thing I remember is the playoffs. Like, I don't remember anything from that season leading up to it, and it's just the playoffs. Like, Maids, when was it that, like, what's the first memory you have of that team?
I mean, as a young guy coming in, it's pretty eye-opening just to see the pace of play and, how old the guys are and how mature. So, I mean, I remember a lot, just the first 10 games. I think it's, a lot of guys who the rookie year can attest to that, and just being in warm-ups and just seeing the rinks and seeing the fans there. So that was kind of a cool memory for me early on. But yeah, I think I agree with you. The playoffs were huge, and that's a lot of the memories for me. And I think after Christmas time, like what Brownie was saying, when things started to come together and we kind of finally had a solid group after trades and just really, I guess, molding together and putting together a good run there. So yeah, a lot of good memories, a lot of cool experiences.
Well, we'll jump right to the playoffs. And I'll tell you I think it's almost, I mean, besides game 7, if we take game 7 completely out of it, my favorite memory from the whole thing was just game 1 in Owen Sound against London, first round. And I mean, that building sits, 3,500, I think, something like that. There must have been 6,000 people in that building. Like, my dad tells a story all the time about how the fire marshal was passing him, leading the building, because he's like, I can't be here, otherwise I have to shut this game down. So, like, that's my first one. And then the overtime goal, I mean, Fish was standing right next to me, his first playoff run. He jumped up so high that he hit his head off the roof, I think, that when the overtime goal was scored. Like, that building was just absolutely incredible. Chili, what do you remember about the playoffs, and like, what's your first memory of the excitement in Owen Sound that year?
Yeah, no, I think you're bang on with that one, Mids. I mean, just the entire time. I mean, the rink was electric. Our fan base was second to none really that year. I mean, when I think back about not only the home games, but the games on the road too, and the support that we got from them, like going to the rink. And yeah, obviously our home games were, like I said, were unbelievable, just coming out on the ice and feeling that vibe every night. And then even being on the road. And I remember coming back from after we beat Plymouth, like just time and time again, the support that we got from them, showing up at like 3 a.m. to the rink, and there's people outside the rink there to greet us. And then obviously the final game, and I'm sure we'll get to this at some point, but the parade coming back in. And it was, like I said, our fan base is just second to none. The support we felt all year was incredible, and quite the feeling going, especially in a small town, winning a small town and being so close with everyone is a phenomenal feeling for sure.
Oh, we'll get to the parade, because I mean, I think Joey jumped off about an hour and a half out of Owen Sound and just walked beside the bus the whole way, and then jumped in a different car. Like, him and Willie were just crazy outside the bus. I was sitting at the back of the bus because obviously I wasn't going to try and get to the front. So it was like me, Zweeper, Bracer, and Josh. I think that we were playing euchre in the back because you guys were just too crazy. We couldn't even get to the front. But Joey, I mean, obviously everyone, I don't want to say everyone, but a lot of people are almost disappointed when they hear they're going to Owen Sound, because they don't know what to expect. And I get that, because Owen Sound is a different community from every other OHL team. So, I mean, you're a guy that stuck around in Owen Sound afterwards now being with the team. So, I mean, was 2010 one of those years that kept you in the city, that gave you a different idea of the city?
You know what? I don't know, Mids. I think that I was one of those kids. I was trying to get to the Kitchener Rangers. I wanted to be drafted. I wanted to play close to home. I had told all the other OHL teams that I wouldn't report to camp if they drafted me. I was going to go to school. Mike Fuda actually called my bluff and drafted me. I can remember being crazy frustrated about it. Like I said, wanting so badly to go play for Kitchener, the team I kind of watched and grew up. Going to games all the time. And then I got to Owen Sound, and it instantly changed. I met Mark Reeds, I met Dale DeGray, I met Brownie, and just right away, the feeling I got to Owen Sound was like, wow, this place is different. It's a small town. Everywhere you go, there's people that are obsessed with the team. You go to the Boot and Blade for breakfast, there's pictures of the team all over the place. Pretty much anywhere you go, it's hockey talk, and you see people, or you see people that are constantly around the rink. So my mind changed super quickly. And I can honestly say that, for my hockey career and my development as a person, it was the best place I could have been, because that year, Kitchener actually that year went to the Mem Cup, and I think I probably would have been a healthy scratch on that Kitchener team that they had, and I was able to come to Owen Sound and develop. Mark Reeds had a lot of trust in me. I was able to play big minutes as a 16-year-old, and I think it was the best thing for me. And then my billets, Dick and Gail Stagahouse, I walked into that house, and literally the first night felt like I was at home. They made it so easy to transition. It was so comfortable for me to, go home from the rink every night and have parent figures to talk to away from home. So it's a special community, and to say that I hadn't realized that before 2010 would be crazy, because I think it was within the first day of being there as a I guess I was 15 years old at the time. I absolutely loved it, and like you said, I spend a ton of time up there now. I own a cottage on Francis Lake, and me and my wife are up there a ton. Obviously, I'm still with the team, so it's been a great journey.
All right, Brownie, before we get into even more stories about the playoffs, what do you remember about the playoff run? What's the first memory that you have of that special run?
Like you, I mean, the first game against London here at home, and we got it off on the right foot. And, the overtime win, Willie scored the winner. And then just that series against London is, it was so big for us, because the coaching staff kept preaching that the hardest round to win in a lot of playoff runs is the first one. And we had to get that monkey off our back, and we had to get London out of the way. And it was just a stigma attached to beating London. And once we got that big win down there, won it in 6, you could just feel that, okay, we were now we could relax and a little bit and just start rolling and just get that stigma away from us that we couldn't win the big one. And, and we just steamrolled Plymouth after that and really got some good momentum. So, but, as far as the playoffs go, I mean, for me, it was just, just that day in, day out grind. It didn't feel like a grind. It felt so much fun. You could spend 20 hours at the rink and still come back 4 hours later refreshed and excited that you had this great group of guys that loved being there, and that we're all in on, on the task and on the goal. And that's what I remember the most. Is it was just so much fun to come to the rink every day.
I remember, I think it was game 6, I believe, beat London in 6, and Michael Zador started in that game. And it was like beating the London Knights was just like a monkey off the back. Cause if you've been with the Owen Sound Attack forever, it's either London or Kitchener. That's obviously going to derail you. And it literally felt like, okay, now we can go on a run. And I say we, in the part that I had nothing to do with the run, but like it just felt like that the path was open now. There was and then Plymouth was just a steamroll. Like there was no challenge there really. And then you go into Windsor, and it turned into like you beat Windsor and now you're in the Memorial Cup, because obviously like Mississauga was supposed to be the best team in the country that year, and they were very good, and they were hosting, so they had a berth. And now it was just like, okay, one more win. Let's go to Maids. Was that the feeling around the room, is that you just had to get one more win and now you're in the Memorial Cup, or were you not even thinking about the Memorial Cup anything further?
Yeah, I mean, I think the group of guys we had, the reason why we were so successful, I think guys were just so competitive, even at the littlest things, right? So we had that in sight, but I think we just wanted to keep our mindset right, and we wanted to win it all. That's the whole purpose of it. And you get that far, and these guys battled. They like all the older guys just, you can tell people were known. It's like at that point, it's like, let's win this thing. Like, we've gotten this far, we've grinded all year. We've, so many upsets. People didn't really believe in us, and we proved so many people wrong. So it's like, let's get it done and let's do it. And then it's almost like it was a cherry on top in a way. I don't want to say it took pressure off, but it was like to know that, okay, let's go hard here, and we can still have fun after and be able to enjoy a cool experience at the Memorial Cup and just have that cherry on top experience with everyone.
All right, Chili, what was it when you finally did win that series? I mean, I should have went back to look at it, but I think it was 5 games, winning it at the Bayshore. clinching the Memorial Cup and knowing you're going to an OHL championship. What was it like winning it in front of those fans? And what I know was an absolutely crazy building. And I know all the things that like ended that game with I believe there was like a cross check and fans were throwing quarters at players as they were going off the ice. Like the fans were crazy. I believe like the London Knights bus, I think suspiciously lost the air in their tires one game. Like there was some crazy stuff that went on that year. But what was it like winning at home and knowing that you've done something that the OHL franchise or the Owen Sound Attack franchise hasn't done before?
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible. It was like I said before, it was completely wild in the rink every game, and you knew what you were going into as far as an atmosphere and just being able to prepare for whatever team was in front of us, I guess, all the way through. But you always knew that the boys in the room had our backs and we were ready for whatever was coming to us. And I think, like Maid said, I mean, we wanted it all. Even after we beat out Windsor, we were talking about, this isn't good enough. We're not kind of going to settle for just being in the Mem Cup. We want to take out Mississauga too. We went out and did it. So I think, just like Maid said, the mindset all the way through was just we're all focused and we're all heading in one direction, and there was really no other way to go about it. We were going to do it no matter what. So
I think this story's fine to tell. It's always such a, like, I've seen so much in the OHL in the dressing room that obviously it's like there's so many stories you just can't tell, and I get that. But I remember going into the third period against Windsor in Game 5. I think Birdie was like in the first locker right inside, and somebody looked over at him and said, "Hey, Birdie, you want to get a hat today?" And obviously he didn't speak English very well, so he was just like, "Oh no, I don't need a hat." And somebody else from across the room was like, "No, Birdie, you want a hat today?" He's, "Oh yes, I want a hat." Like stood up and got ready. I just like those little stories just makes the OHL experience, like the experience from a guy who didn't actually step on the ice, so much. It's amazing. Like I'm watching the video from like I'm sure you guys did the whole Mississauga series on Rogers television, and like it makes me emotional to watch Game 7 and to watch everything went down. Joey, going into the Mississauga series, was it like was there a feeling of this team is too good to beat, or like what was the feeling going into a juggernaut Mississauga team?
Yeah, I don't think the feeling was these guys are too good. I think we respected how good they were. I know throughout the season they had beat us twice, I think. I can always remember even watching the games, it reminded me like how well they played defensively. It was so hard to create offense against them. And I know that was super frustrating for me and for anybody else on our team to play against Windsor and put up some really good numbers in the conference final, and then go into Mississauga and play against a team that was so stingy defensively. But like Maids mentioned earlier, I feel like the competitiveness of the guys on our team was just overwhelming. It was almost like we weren't going to be shut down. We were going to do whatever it possibly took to get it done. And there's a belief in our dressing room that we had the guys to do it. And then you put that recipe together with the competitiveness. It was even evident, like we'd go golfing and guys would be almost fighting each other on the golf course. We'd be so competitive that year. So I know our 2-pass games, we used to play a little game in the mornings with Mark Reed's called 2-pass. It was just a little small area game we played, and there would be like crazy things happening in those 2-pass games. And like Mark, our coach, was right in there in the midst of all of it. So it was such a fun experience to be a part of a group that was so feisty, so competitive, and just so much fire in that locker room.
So we don't run out of time, I'm going to fast forward through the Mississauga series. We're going to go really quick here, and I want Brownie as the outside source to walk us through the Mississauga series. What do you remember about leading up to Game 7? All the games leading up to it.
The games leading up to it?
Yeah.
It's probably not so much that the actual game action, but just everything that was going on behind the scenes. Just that never say die attitude in the room. And, we're going into Game 6 at home, and we needed that win. We needed that push, and Mark threw Binner in net and gave him the keys to the bus and said, "Take us home." And the guys just grinded it out. And I hadn't watched Game 6 and Game 7 at all since it happened, until I watched Game 7 last summer when it was on YouTube, and I watched Game 6 the other night. And just the passion the guys played with and the commitment, and everyone keeps talking about the fans. I remember the building. I remember how loud it was. I remember 3 people deep in standing room. I remember the building full for warm up. I can tell you everything that happened behind the scenes for Game 7. I probably can't tell you anything other than Maid's goal during the game because that's all blacked out. But I can tell you everything that led up to the game, all the little details. I can remember all the little details after. It just like it was yesterday. But I needed to watch the game action on TV the last year to spark my memory about how all the games actually went down, because it was the emotions, it was the fans, it was the guys themselves. Those are the things I remember. I remember Mark, I remember Terry, their passion, Digger, everybody, Gary, everybody behind the scenes. Those are the things that stick out to me.
So we'll go to Game 7. And I was fortunate enough to be there. I didn't travel with the team on the road, but my boss at the time, Jeff Maya, gave me the day off, said, you have to go to this game. And Brownie was nice enough to allow me to come along with Josh and be part of that. And we drove down separately. We got to the rink after you guys were there. And I remember walking out and just looking at the rink, and I happened to walk out at the exact time the gates opened, and it was an absolute flood of Owen Sound fans. As soon as the gate was open, there was people running up top to try and find standing room because they only had standing tickets. And they wanted to make sure they could see. Like, as soon as you guys came up for warm up, I got chills just because of the roar of the crowd. It is honestly the crowd that really made that day for me, because like watching it on TV or on the radio, listening back to the radio call, you actually don't know that it wasn't at the Bayshore. It's absolutely nuts. Maids, what's the first thing you remember about Game 7, like stepping onto the ice and hearing that crowd?
Yeah, no, I remember the butterflies were crazy for me. I know I always, get hyped up and get anxious a bit, but just going to the rink there in the bus with the boys and just trying to prepare. But, I always say right when we stepped on the ice and you saw the crowd, like you mentioned, Middy, you felt like instantly like you're at a home game. And I think that helped ease a lot of the stress or, pressure. Just, okay, we're at another arena, but it doesn't feel like that at all. So I think once we got out there to warm ups and saw everyone cheering, and you see the guy waving the flag, or all like the fans that you see at home, it's just like, okay, this is awesome. We're gonna do it. They believe in us. We believe in ourselves, and we got the group to do that. So I just remember the intensity and just how big of a game, that biggest game for me by far ever, and still is. So it was a really neat time and an awesome group that we got to do it with.
Yeah, we talked to Ben Ennis of Sportsnet's Good Show, and he was hosting that game for Rogers Television, and he said it was the first time that building was full all year. And he said to call it half and half fans that's not even appropriate, because like it was all Owen Sound Attack fans, and then the sprinkle of like two sections of Mississauga fans that didn't want to scream because there was way too many fired up Owen Sound fans. Chili, what do you remember about the building that day? Like, just bring me back to your feelings of, like, what do you remember from that game?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I remember getting to the rink and we always go upstairs and play some sewer ball and stretch it out and stuff. And I remember starting to see a couple of Owen Sound fans trickle in here and there, and then going back down to the room and getting dressed, and you could actually hear them chanting before the game. And I remember the butterflies just kicking in and coming out and actually seeing kind of the full impact of what was going on there. And like Maid said, seeing all the faces that you recognize from our home barn, and just kind of being there, and it started to really hit you as real, right? I mean, they really were, they carried us through that game and gave us the confidence to go out and do what we were doing. And it truly felt like a home game. So, I mean, it was phenomenal to have them there, and obviously a hard fought game, and Maid's finishing it off for us. So all around, just, I mean, a surreal experience, and one that I don't know if any of us will ever forget.
All right, Joey, now you're going into overtime. I mean, not that Game 7's not pressure filled enough, but now you're going into what seems like the 100th overtime game of that playoff run. What was the atmosphere like? I know what I remember from the atmosphere of the room going into overtime, and it was like this team, like, it was like the championship was already won, because the team just had so much confidence that, like, if we're going into overtime, we're going to win this game. And that sticks out to me, because looking across, I remember seeing Drazio in the other dressing room, because he could see through to the other dressing room, and the look on his face was that they just lost, because they just got pushed to Game 7 in overtime by a team they weren't even supposed to be playing with. So Joey, what do you remember about the dressing room going into that overtime period?
Well, if I'm being honest with you, Mids, I just remember Brownie bringing the bagels in and saying, "Toss me a bagel, Brownie." It was crazy. I can remember being just super excited to get back out there on the ice and get this thing over with. That was the feeling we had. I think we had a ton of confidence in our locker room. I'm not kidding about the bagels. I remember Brownie and Gary just bringing food into the dressing room, trying to keep us, energized, ready to go. And I think I grabbed some Kraft peanut butter and loaded a bagel up, put that bagel back pretty quickly, and then got ready to go.
All right, Maids, you got to walk us through it. It's your time.
The goal, eh?
Yeah.
I just remember being thankful I was actually on the ice in the first place there. Just didn't want to mess up. That's all I was thinking about. I remember when the puck went back, was it Bracer, I think, fed it back. I don't know who was the defenseman that shot it on net.
Shammer.
Was it Shammer? Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was Shammer or Petty. I couldn't remember. But I just remember him tossing the puck to the net. And it was just one of those routine plays where it's like, just get bodies to the net if you got a shot going there. And the way the puck just kind of fell on the ice, I'm like, I'm going to take a whack at her. And it was a very, very awkward goal, but it made its way to the net surprisingly. And I always say it was slow motion. I didn't even know if it was actually going to get there. Like, that's how weak my shot was, but it seemed to find there was like a little hole between the post and the goalie's pad there as it was coming across. And it just, as soon as it went through, I was a terrible celebrator. So I just did the old hand up in the air, and then the boys, we all celebrated in the corner. So it was insane. Like I said, I was just thankful to be given that opportunity. I played a small role as a younger guy, and I was lucky enough to be able to watch these guys take us there. So, I try to take too much credit for that because they made it possible for us to be in that position. So yeah, it was good.
Small role you can say, but you had the most iconic goal in Owen Sound Attack history. And the picture of you with your fist in the air after the goal went in going into the corner, again, is probably one of the most iconic pictures in Owen Sound Attack history as well. Brownie, again, like I've said 40 times here, we have a different view of this where we weren't on the ice. You have absolutely no control really of what's going on. And I remember when the goal went in, Shawzy was next to me because he was suspended for what seemed like the 100th time in the year as well. And the first thing he did was run over, and I jumped in the air and he pushed me. So I almost fell just because he was so excited. And then he jumped the boards. He was one of the first ones into the corner in his street shoes. And then I went over and I just remember jumping up and down with you on the bench and having the whole coaching staff behind and everyone basically in tears, just so excited. So what do you remember about when the goal went in, just the emotions running over you?
Okay, so I never actually saw the goal until later that night when we got back to Owen Sound, because I had Zweeper and Willie in front of me, and I was on the right side of the bench, so the face-off was just happening to my right. I had one foot on the bench, on the bench, kind of waiting to kind of jump up if something happened. And then the play happened. Shemmer gets the puck to the net. Everyone stands up in front of me. I go to put my foot on the bench and jump up to see what's going on, and all I see is the red light and the crowd go crazy. I jumped down, turned to my left. Terry Virtue just about tackled me to the floor. I got up and turned to my right, and Brent Fisher was there. I don't know how he got there so quick. He gave me a big hug, and it was just bedlam. But I never actually saw who scored the goal, how it happened, until we got back to Owen Sound, and I saw a replay of it. So, but it was just bedlam behind the bench, and it was just, like you said, it was just, everything happened so fast. You're jumping around, hugging in the next person in line, and I think Chili was the first person that gave me a big sweaty hug on the ice. So that's my memories of that moment. It was phenomenal.
And I remember jumping onto the ice after all the hugs and then going over and seeing some of the players, and you guys were just also great to all of us and just giving all you guys hugs that we could. And then Gary asking us to start cleaning up the ice. So we started to clean up the ice, and I picked up Maid's stick, and I think it was Joey. Joey came over, I think, and just said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, Gary asked me to clean up." And you were like, "No, enjoy this," and slapped it out of my hand. But I'm like, I can't. So I picked up the stick, and then a guy comes out of nowhere and grabs the stick from me and leaves. And little do I know later that it was the Hockey Hall of Fame guy that had to go authenticate it. But I thought somebody just stole the game-winning stick from me and just walked off the ice. It was I was scared. I thought I just lost the stick. But Chili, what do you remember about celebrating on the ice and just enjoying that with, like we said, the what seemed like 4,000 fans in the building?
Yeah, honestly, it's still all a blur. I think I'm kind of in the same boat as Brownie. Everything kind of happened so quick, and I just remember being out there with the guys and being able to share that moment with everyone you worked so hard with all year. From everyone on the team, the coaching staff, the training staff, everyone that was involved in that year. It was just kind of like that our minute or our moment, I guess I should say, to celebrate together. So real incredible feeling. And it's funny looking back and all the pictures and kind of briefly putting together what happened in that second of time that led to all that. And really just an incredible experience all around.
Now we only got about 6 minutes left here, so I want to be quick, but I mean, to me, the best part of the day was the bus ride home, 2.5 hour bus ride home. What seemed like it took 5 hours because we were stopping in every single town, and there was always a huddle of Attack fans, no matter what town we were in, and everyone would get out and go celebrate with them for 10 minutes and then get back in the bus and we'd go to the next town. And it happened the whole night. And then getting back into Owen Sound and somebody saying, okay, we're taking whatever street down to the Bayshore, and believe me, it's going to take 2 hours to get from there down. And we're like, no, it's not. It's like a 2 minute. And yes, it did. There was like from the start of whatever street that is, the 7th Street Hill, there were fans from the top of that hill all the way down to the Bayshore, just a line, and it was mayhem. And then walking into the Bayshore, and it's full on a Sunday night or whatever day it was, just it was just packed full of people ready to celebrate when the game wasn't even in the Bay. Like, it was just, it's nuts. And just watching the home video, there's one home video of over top of the entrance when everyone's walking out, and just even watching that video almost brings me to tears every time. Cause again, the passion and the love I had for that team was something that'll never be replicated. So I just want to go quickly. We got 6 minutes, so it's got to be quick, but I want to go all the way around and tell me about the bus ride home and walking to the Bayshore and what it was like. Let's start with Brownie up top.
So first memory, obviously we got to go to McDonald's, and that was the best because that was the carrot. You know, you win a series, you get to go to McDonald's. So
and Ray putting it on the card.
We walked into McDonald's, put the trophy on the table, and everybody got to order. That was the best. I think with the gravity of it really started to hit home when we got to Dundalk, and we saw flashing lights up ahead. We thought there was an accident at first, and then we started to get word that no, we're going to get kind of escorted through that first intersection by some fire trucks and police, and then each town along the way. And it was just surreal. The whole thing. Being piped into the rink, just trying to get into the side door of the rink when we parked because we couldn't go to our normal spot. We had to jump out, and there was fans, crowded all around us, high fiving. And I could talk for hours. So that the memories are just still as thick today as they were that day.
All right, Joey.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have to. My memories is pretty much the same as Brownie's. Just an incredible experience, like you said, stopping in every little small town on the way home, getting back to Owen Sound, and right pretty much at Stone Tree, the cars just lined up all the way to the rink, people everywhere, and then you walk into the rink, and we went in the side door, I think, to get into the dressing room, and through the gym, and you could just hear the fans like going absolutely insane, and we weren't even home yet, so walking out and seeing all those fans. But I got to add one thing, Mids. I think it's great to reminisce, and this week, the 10-year anniversary, it's all been really cool, but I have to say, I think it's time to win another one. It's been a long time, and it's a long time coming, so I'm excited to do it again.
I'm scared it won't ever be as special as that one, obviously. And I mean, yes, it would be, the town deserves it, but I mean, it's just, that was a different kind of championship because it was the OHL. It felt like us against the OHL all the time because we were such a small market team. And I believe Freddie even said that to whatever the OHL guy was standing next to him. It was like, haha, we did it. You wouldn't allow us, but we did it. We found a way to do it. So that's why it was so amazing. Chili, quickly, what do you remember?
Yeah, I mean, I won't echo the boys, but basically all the exact same stuff coming in. It's funny too, because I'm getting chills listening to these guys talk. You don't get that a whole lot anymore. So anytime you get to talk about this stuff, it's great. But just like I said, exactly what these boys said, getting back into the rink and then finally coming out onto the ice and getting to share that moment with the fans. I think Shazzy did a slide across on his stomach or something as we were coming out. And just enjoying that moment with everyone. And like I said, it was pretty special time for everyone. And then obviously the night that followed, we won't talk a whole lot about, but just memories that never forget for sure.
I was way too young. Actually, I don't even know. I might have been almost the same age as you guys by then. It was pretty close, but either way, mates, again, take us home. Like, just like Game 7, you're taking us home here. What do you remember from that night in the bus ride and walking into that building?
Yeah, the bus ride, I just remember, like, obviously on the mayhem on the bus with the boys, just cheering and having a good time. And then, like I said, it's always back roads going home. So you never you never know how far out you are. And I remember seeing like the first, I don't know, whoever was on the side of the road, I'm like, oh, we almost home? Are we like 10 minutes out? I was like, no, we still got like 40 minutes to go. So I think that just kind of like shows you the support of the community around Owen Sound and how many people rallied. So that was special. I mean, it seemed like we were just going and going forever. And we had, everyone, cheering us on, people following, people in front. So, and then I never even expected in a million years what was going to happen at the rink. Like that was crazy. Getting in there and hear them cheering and just walking out and just feeling that appreciation and just being able to do it for the fans as well, because they've been wanting it so bad and been working hard for that. So, yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll celebrate another one before the 20th, but hey, we'll do this all again the 20th. I don't care. We'll do it every 10 years. It's I can't put in words what it honestly meant to me, and that's someone who wasn't really part of it. But we're running out of time here, so I want to thank all of you guys for jumping on with me. And we have a special call from Freddie Wallace on the last on all 3 goals in that game. So Freddie Wallace is going to take us home. Thank you, guys.
Hishon tried the back end, keeps it into the right wing corner. Hishon gets to the slot area on the forehand. Hishon delays the crowd imploring him to shoot in some feet and goes wide.
Halma was alone in front of the net, but his stick was high.
Stanish from the point scores! The attacker on the board! 1-0.
So is Mike Halma.
Maidens and Brace on a break. Maidens into St. Mike's territory, behind Brace with the pass.
He's looking for Helis.
Through it to Helis in front. Maidens scores!
Not how you draw it up, but it worked. And it gives the Attack a 2-1 lead. Jarrod Maidens from Liam Helis, and the building erupts.
As you just mentioned, a 1-goal championship win, and 1 goal will decide this championship as well.
Does not get through, hits a body. Coming through is Brace, throws it in front. Maidens run, scores! The Ontario Hockey League Championship. Jarrod Maidens on the doorstep. I don't believe it.
The Hershey Center goes wild.
I don't believe it.
OHL champion.
It's time to let a picture paint 1,000 words, folks.